When you're thinking crossover SUVs, the first thing that comes to mind is never a Nissan. However, for 2025, Nissan aims to change that with the brand new redesign from top to bottom 2025 Nissan Murano. So here we have the Nissan Murano Platinum trim. We're gonna see if it earns a spot in the top of the class for crossover SUVs. Let's dive in. Starting off in the front of the Nissan Murano, you'll notice it looks much more like an Infiniti, or I think even like a Lexus. It no longer looks like a Nissan whatsoever, especially compared to the 2024 Murano. Starting off in the front though, we have a big Nissan badge right there in the center, and it's actually much more 3D instead of that typical bubbled emblem that you typically see. Coming along to the sides though, we do have functional venting, and then over here where we've got some light bars is where our hazard lights are actually located. And then coming up, we have dual beam LED headlights, and then in the most inner light on both sides is your high beams. Overall, I'd say the front end looks very good. You've also got Murano stamped into the plastic here. Overall, it's a good looking front end for a Nissan, especially. Coming around to the side though, we do have even more changes, and it actually looks pretty good. Starting off with the wheels, we do have 21-inch wheels on this crossover, and we also get some very stylish aerodynamic plastic inserts for our wheels as well. You might be able to take them off if you so wish by taking off the bolts and everything, but we didn't try. Coming around further to the side, we do have a piano black plastic skirting around the bottom. Now it is just in the center of the bottom. You notice it doesn't have it around the wheel well, and we've also got piano black to match on our side view mirrors. You do have lane departure warning on the side view mirrors, as well as blind spot monitoring on the mirror itself. You've also got one touch operation to lock and unlock the doors on both of the front door handles. So that's nice. Now you'll also notice, like Infiniti, Nissan now has the pinched window in the back, so a little bit of a luxurious feature on the Nissan there, and some chrome accents going around the top of the windows. Looks pretty good. Now I've got a real bubbly back end for you, so I hope you're into bubbles because you got them all over. It actually bubbles out quite far backwards and on the sides as well. You've got a little bit of a spoiler, and hey, our rear window wiper is tucked away up under there. You cannot see it, you can barely touch it, so I like that. We got a platinum emblem on the rear here. Underneath our large Murano that's spelt out across the back. Another 3D Nissan emblem, so that's pretty cool. Overall, I would say the exterior of the Murano is light years better than last generation. Now to access the rear hatch, you do actually have a button right here above Nissan on your rear emblem here, and then it beeps a couple times and opens up. And then you have about 33 cubic feet of space in the back here, and you've got a couple storage compartments on both sides, and also below you get a spare tire, which is pretty sweet. You don't see a lot of spares in 2025, but what's even cooler, because this is the Platinum trim, you have a 10-speaker Bose sound system, and back here in your spare tire, you've got a Bose subwoofer too. It's pretty cool. Now, last time we did this with Nissan failed miserably. So let's see if the 2025 Murano can stand up to the banana test. I'm not too confident in Nissan's ability to not take off an arm. Oh, not bad. It definitely bursts the nanner's skin. All right, coming into the front of the Nissan Murano, the trend stays the same, and luxury is the name of the game. Now, it is not a luxury car, but it certainly feels one. You've got some nice brown, luxurious, soft leather up here at the top with the white stitching. You've got a rather unique plastic piece here separating it from the black leather as well, with more white stitching. But I do like how this plastic piece is. It looks like it would be textured, but it's actually completely flat. Other than that, you've got very standard controls on the door panel here, such as one-touch operation for all your windows. You can fold in the side view mirrors, control them, or you can press one of your two memory seat functions. Now, talking about the seats themselves are also something special. They're very comfortable, very soft, and very plush. I like the design on them. You've got like this diamond pattern with the white stitching. Overall, they look fantastic. And they also operate quite well as well. You've got full 14-way power adjustment with your seat, as well as 3 different profiles of massaging that you can do. So you've got relaxation, energy, and lumbar mode that you can turn on. But let's hop in and see how comfortable it is. You know, they say that they're zero gravity seats. I don't really know why, other than they are supposed to be extremely comfortable, and comfortable they are indeed. But that's not where the good things stop, because also the steering wheel was redesigned, and it's a pretty nice steering wheel. Nice and comfortable, nice and soft. On the left-hand side, you've got your driver's assistance features, such as your adaptive cruise control, your lane keep assist, and you've also got some multimedia functions for volume too. On the right-hand side is where you've got the rest of all of your multimedia controls, such as your track seek and your voice assistant and all those other things. Moving on behind the steering wheel though, we've got a couple paddle shifters in case you're feeling sporty in the Murano. You can put it in sport mode and bang some gears. And then to the left, you've got your controls for basically your lights and turn signal. That's about it. On the right-hand side, you've got the controls for your front and rear window wipers. So that's nice. To the left of the steering wheel though, this button here actually I hate, because it is your steering assist button and it gets a little bit wonky sometimes. But next on the line, we do have our heads-up display and then our steering wheel heater. And if you got junk in the trunk, you got to release it. So you hit that to release the junk in your trunk. Below there, you've got the auto brake hold. So that's a nice feature. I like it. It acts really funky on this car though. It's not the best. Then you've got an electronic parking brake as well. You also have electronic power oscillation for your steering wheel as well. So that's really nice until it gets stuck in that position and you feel like a bus driver. All right, now moving on beyond our steering wheel, another thing Nissan upgraded for the 2025 year is we have not one, but two 12.3-inch displays. We've got our infotainment center on the right-hand side, and we've got our digital gauge cluster on the left-hand side. Now, the right-hand side is a little bit more changed for 2025 than the left-hand side, because for the Platinum trim level anyways, you do have Amazon Alexa as your voice assistant, but you also have Google Maps built in. Also built into the infotainment center are some things that I'm typically not a big fan of. You do have some heating and air controls down here, but you also have heated and ventilated seats and other things that you may want to turn on, which are all done via the touchscreen here. So it's kind of a downfall, but at least you do have the options. I guess that's nice at least. Another thing available on the Platinum trim is the built-in Wi-Fi hotspot, so you can choose to enable that as well. Moving down below the infotainment center though, you do have a physical volume knob and power switch. Then to the right of that, also hidden inside of the vents basically, is your track selection button. To the left of that, again hiding inside the vents, is your hazards, and that's about it there. But below there, you've actually got like this wood grain with touch pads built into it for that heating and air, and then your front and rear defrost. Looks nice, kind of unique. Seems responsive enough. I'm not going to complain about it, but again, touch buttons for while you're driving to control things just is typically not ideal. To the left of there, you've got your start and stop button, and below there, you've got a wireless charging pad with two Type-C USB ports. And if you ever feel like going anywhere and want to change gears and you can't find your gear selector, well, fear no more, because you have 4 buttons. You don't have to pull anything or do anything. You just gotta hit a button. So you got park, reverse, neutral, and drive/manual. Then you also have your drive mode selector. You only get 3 options. You can be in sport mode, standard mode, or eco mode. And then beyond those, we do have a couple more buttons. One is for that pesky auto start, auto stop button that we always turn off every time we get in any car because they are annoying. And then you've also got your camera button. So you do get some cameras on here that you can't really move around, but you do get some different view modes that you can look at. So it is nice that you get it. It's not true 360 view, but it's a pretty big view nonetheless. And then we've got a couple decent sized cup holders and a change pouch or something. You can put your cigarettes in there, or your change, or your candy sticks. I don't know, whatever you're putting in there. Or the key, you could put the key in there. And then you've got the soft touch middle console that's a little bouncy. You got another little coin pouch in here, and other than that, just a good bit of storage. But it is all plastic in here, so you're going to hear everything going all over in there, and it's going to sound terrible. You're going to be really annoyed and say, all right, coming up above the infotainment center though, we do have an auto dimming rear view mirror with 3 home link buttons on it, so that's pretty nice. At least they're not inside the visor or something crazy. But in the center here, we do have an SOS button, our dome light controls, and then also we have a very large sunroof, so you can open up the shade, you can open it up halfway or fully, and then you can open up the sunroof as well. Before we get on the road, let's check out the back and see how that's built for a long trip. All right, coming into the rear of the Murano, the theme stays the same. You get the beautiful seats, the beautiful door panel, but you also get some sun blockers. So that's pretty cool. Again though, like I'm saying, actually the plastic piece here does have texture to it. So that's a little bit interesting, but you get the same style with the brown on top and the black on the bottom with one touch door operation, a nice little step in here. And this actually is in my driving position currently. And I've got like over a foot of space between my knees and the seat. So you have tons of room back here to just kind of recline and chill. Yeah, the seat doesn't go back and it doesn't recline or anything, but you do have a ton, just a ton of room back here for sure. The seat's also really comfortable. You get 2 Type-C USB ports and 2 buttons to heat your butts. You can heat your bottom and be comfortable and go on a nice long trip. You only get 1 back pouch though on the passenger seat, and you do also get a couple cup holders. And this is also pretty soft back here too. There's no hard spots or like upstanding plastic pieces that are gonna jab into you, so that's pretty comfy. Not huge cup holders, but they'll fit a cup from McDonald's or something. But that about wraps up how nice the interior of this Murano is. Let's get her on the road and see how she drives. All right, now we're behind the wheel of the 2025 Nissan Murano. And first impressions are that it's okay. It looks a lot better than it is, but we'll get into that. You know, the acceleration is a little bit delayed, even though this is a turbo. It kicks in, like if you floor it, the acceleration really kicks in like 3 or 4 seconds delayed, I feel like. The brakes are fine, but I have noticed they can be extremely touchy completely randomly. Other than that though, when they're not being completely touchy very randomly, they're great. So I guess it depends on what moment, how they feel. Aside from that, it does have some weird shifting personalities. Even though it got rid of the CVT, you would think that it would have an improvement. At least me personally, I think that it shifts really funky a lot of times. There's a lot of late shifts, and then when it downshifts, it's like doing this rev match kind of poorly, and I don't know, it's just kind of weird. Other than that though, it's extremely comfortable. Your side view mirrors are just massive. The visibility is great, except for really out of the rear window. So you've got great visibility. Even though the hood has that big bubble to it, you can see over it great because the seat itself sits up quite high. So it's all pretty good there. You've got all the driver features that you could possibly need, such as pedestrian monitoring, blind spot monitoring, lane keep assist, lane departure warning. So you've got all the safety features you could possibly need. There's not really anything more. But I have been driving this around town for the last few days now, and the drive itself is not really my cup of tea. It's very unpredictable a lot of times. It can be extremely jerky randomly, and I love using the auto hold button, right? That way when you come to a full stop, it just holds it there until you press on the accelerator. However, in this, I've had like 4 or 5 different instances, including one today, where it just doesn't do it. So you think that it's gonna work, you take your foot off the brake and you just start rolling, you know? So leave adequate distance between you and the person in front of you because your mileage may vary. But other than that, and my complaints about how it can be temperamental at times, it is actually not all that bad to drive. I find it a lot less temperamental in normal mode instead of sport mode. In sport mode, it's just not a very well-tuned mode in my opinion. But, you know, Steve will fill us in on all the new changes, and he might think that it's a perfect sport mode. Other than that though, my last big gripe is the steering assist. I accidentally had that enabled at one point, and it will just do ridiculous things. Not quite like pull you into oncoming traffic ridiculous, but like it won't recognize certain line patterns and things like that, I've noticed, to where it just tries to do funky things. And I thought that button originally was just for the lane keep assist, which can be fine, but this is steering assist. So like sometimes during a turn, it'll try to like get you back in the lane because there's 3 lanes of turning traffic. It's just not very smart. So again, your mileage may vary. Maybe you use it and you only use it in big cities and it's completely fine and whatever, but not for me. So use it at your own discretion and let me know in the comments how it works for you. The steering wheel's fine. The design is a throwback for me to like, you know, an old Firebird or something, but at the same time it's like modernized. I don't hate it. The steering wheel itself is very comfortable in my opinion. It's got like some nice shape to it.
It looks thick.
It's got good thick hips for holding. But that does about wrap up my impressions of the drive. How about we get Uncle Steve in the driver's seat so he can tell us about all the changes to the powertrain, the transmission, and what he thinks about this temperamental beast.
All right, it's Uncle Steve talk about the powertrain. So the first impression for this 2025 Nissan Murano Platinum. It's nice. The design is different than the other SUV on the market. Like nowadays, it's like more boxy, you know, design. But this is a totally opposite direction.
Got a lot of bubbles.
Yeah. And then on some articles, they say this is a bad design. So in my opinion, actually it's pretty cool. It looked like an EV or a hybrid, special interior design. It looked like EV, but actually it's a gasoline.
Yeah, and they actually don't even offer hybrid.
Yeah, they don't offer hybrid. They only offer one engine, one powertrain.
Which is something that's not very common for nowadays either.
Yeah, and the powertrain is bad and good and stupid. The bad is they replaced the 3.5 liter V6 with a 2.0 turbocharged inline-4 engine. And the other bad is they had less horsepower, almost 20 less horsepower than the V6. So it has 241 horsepower and 260 foot-pound of torque. And the V6 has 260 horsepower. So the good is they get rid of the CVT, which is the horrible transmission for Nissan. And I also believe that's how they get them bankrupt. So they replace it with a 9-speed automatic transmission, and they offer front-wheel drive or all-wheel drive. For the top 2 model trim, the standard is all-wheel drive. The stupid talk about mile per gallon. The older one, V6, is combined is 23 mile per gallon, and this one, 4-cylinder turbo, is 23 mile per gallon. So what is the point? What is the point of replacing the V6? Right? It's not saving gas, maybe saving cost. However, this is actually heavier than the older one. So I guess they are trying to save cost from the engine material, like the metal, compared to V6 to the i4. So that is stupid. They should just keep a V6, 9-speed automatic transmission, then it'll be like a little bit better vehicle for people to buy. And then another stupid thing is the 0 to 60. So 0 to 60 is 8.1 for this new generation. The last generation is 7.1, 7.5. So it's almost like a whole second.
But it's a crossover SUV.
Okay, if you're a Nissan like director, how do you position this vehicle in the market? Because Nissan have Nissan Roof under this, and then Kick under the roof, which is Nissan Kick, right? Small crossover SUV, and then they have the Pathfinder.
Yeah.
Right? So it's kind of like between, is it mid-size SUV or is it like crossover compact SUV?
Right. It's having an identity crisis.
And also the price. Wow. I let you talk about the price.
Well, I mean, it is a little bit pricey for a Nissan. I mean, you got to figure you can pick up a Nissan for like under 20K a lot of times. Right?
Yes, a lot. Like they offer the cheapest truck on the market, cheapest sedan, the Nissan Versa.
Yep.
So
yeah, but not the cheapest crossover SUV. The entry level comes in at $41,860. But mind you, we're driving the Platinum. There's also the SL trim, which comes in at $47,850. But the Platinum, you're getting in at over $50,000 because it's $50,950. Wow. So it's pretty pricey for a Nissan.
Yeah, I agree with that. Especially there was a ton of SUV on the market. There are some of them is actually under $40,000.
Yeah, but the interior is pretty nice.
It is pretty nice. I would say it has improved a lot. It doesn't feel cheap, except some like the touch panel.
Yeah,
the touchpad control. It feel like it's gonna fall apart.
Right. Yeah. What do you think of the drive? Because I had lots of complaints.
To be honest, I like the exhaust tone somehow. When you feel it,
until you get the turbo whine. The
Some
turbo,
people like the turbo like whining noise.
I like it, but this one sounds like it's gonna blow a hose.
In a way, yeah. They have this another whining noise. I don't know where that come from. But it sounds like from either timing change or the transmission. It's like you hear that, right?
Yeah.
Oh, it doesn't sound like exhaust tone.
No.
Besides that, it's pretty quiet for Nissan.
Yeah, no, it is quiet. The interior, the cabin is quiet. You can hear like the road noise, but that's about it.
Yeah, and then the acceleration is okay. It's okay, not too bad compared to CX-50.
Right.
But overall, in my opinion, it's not too bad. Especially you talk about Nissan. But if you talk about for 50K, maybe I have some pullback. 40K is like it's probably today market price.
Yeah, no, I mean for 40K, I would say it'd be a buy.
Yeah, but you can get 40K for the front wheel drive one.
Right. Well, but yeah, then you lose out on a ton of things. You downgrade to a 6-speaker sound system. You lose your built-in navigation. There's tons of things that you lose.
What about the subwoofer?
Yeah, you lose that too. You lose the sub. So I don't really think that the entry trim is worth it. Because you'll also lose these seats and everything too.
So yeah, I agree with you. It's a little bit pricey for Nissan, but I do not want Nissan to go to hell. I like Nissan as a brand.
Do you think this car can save Nissan?
Not this car for sure. Maybe the Versa. I own a Versa, so and the 5-speed, so it's so far been doing great.
Hey, maybe this one will do great too. Maybe it will be the next most popular SUV. Because I mean, it's pretty nice. There's a lot of nice features in it, and it's not ridiculously expensive. It's just around the range, or if you go up a smidge, you can get way better.
Yeah.
But hey, maybe you can't, or maybe you don't want to. So you let us know in the comments what you think of the 2025 Nissan Murano Platinum trim. Is this a crossover SUV that you would be interested in? Let us know in the comments down below. Smash up the likes, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you on the next video.